here. We're so glad that Marcus Spears is here in the flesh.
Boogie.
Why are you so close to
real talk, this feels dumb.
What? That you're... I think you scooted over.
Why?
I think you're supposed to be over here.
Am I on the right mark?
Okay. We have Marks on this set. It's okay. I like you being that close. Dan's here. We got Mina Kimes and Adam Schefter. A lot to get to today. And let's begin with the Eagles beginning voluntary workouts today. One player not in the building, A.J. Brown. Adam, where do things stand between the Eagles and their star wideout?
Laura, my understanding is that a trade to New England is the most likely scenario and likely to happen on or after June 1st. You're not going to see an A.J. Brown trade this week during the draft. The financial salary cap implications would be too severe for the Philadelphia Eagles to carry. But once that passes, and once they can spread out his cap charges, which occur on June 1st, that is when a trade is likely to happen. The two sides have had discussions. They're going to have more discussions. There's no commitment or agreement in place, but it sounds like there is a real understanding that that is the most likely scenario, that A.J. Brown will wind up with the New England Patriots once we get to the month of June.
All right, so we'll keep an eye on that for sure. There's a lot of news coming through. I hear Adam's phone going off. That can only mean good things for all of us here as NFL fans. Despite the ups and downs for Brown's tenure with the Eagles, he's still been one of the best receivers in franchise history. His 81 yards per game, second best all time. He's the only Eagle ever with 4 different 1,000-yard seasons. That's 4 straight seasons of 1,000 yards and 7 touchdowns, the second longest active streak in the league. Dan, how would a guy like A.J. Brown change things for Drake May in that offense? Because I think we should live in a world where this is happening.
Yeah, I mean, Drake May had an MVP caliber season. He really didn't have a guy that they could just put up by himself and say, go win.
Right.
And so that speaks. Now, there's only so many guys in the league that are walking first downs. A.J. Brown is one of them. I mean, we revere Jamar Chase as the guy that we often say put out by himself. He's that true X one-on-one guy, and no matter the coverage, get him the ball. A.J. Brown is in that class. When A.J.'s playing, he's top 5 in the league in just about everything. And so when you're talking about now having a quarterback or a receiver as a quarterback that you can just trust, I need a first down. Where's A.J. Brown? Throw him the football. So if the trade happens, I think all of us expect it to. It now changes the way that Drake May can play just from the line of scrimmage.
Well, I love that you brought up Drake May, because it's the age-old thing that Mina talks about all the time. Young quarterback on a rookie deal, solidify him by bringing him pieces when he's shown you he can play at a very high level. But also the relationship with Mike Vrabel. All of that ended badly in Tennessee with these players when you see where Tennessee has been. Now, I think they on the uptick now, but when you start to think about the New England Patriots, and I remember being there for Monday night and in the playoff game, and you saw the relationship between the head coach and player, because we are not going to get past the elephant in the room that this relationship in Philly seems to be scorned. It seems to be a lot going on internally with A.J. Brown as well. So a trade coming about, some familiarity, a young quarterback on the ascend, a team that you saw go to the Super Bowl last year, and just a fresh start. I'm actually excited about it, especially with what we know New England to be as far as how young that football team is.
Again, Adams reporting today, A.J. Brown expected to be a Patriot after June 1st. Mina, how do you see Brown impacting that Pats offense if he ends up there?
I mean, Dan described it best. He gets you a bucket when you need it. He's the exact type of receiver that they've been looking for. He has the size and the ball skills that few corners in the NFL can handle, wins at all 3 levels. He affects the way defenses play you, and that's something I wanted to zero in on here, because over the last 3 years, the New England Patriots have faced man coverage more than any other team in the NFL, over 50% of the time. In that same time frame, which receiver leads all receivers league-wide in yards per route run against man coverage? It's A.J. Brown. Now, that means they're going to face less of it. They're going to face more too high, which should open up things for everyone else. The run game for some of those other receivers who can work underneath. There'll be a trickle-down effect just by having him on the field. So for New England, I think this made a ton of sense, especially because while they have a young quarterback, they are on a playoff timeline. They're just in the Super Bowl, so this is the kind of player that you want to add.
Yeah, think about the roles, too. I mean, you're going to have 2 just big-bodied starting receivers, Kayshon Boutte and A.J. Brown on the outside. Dobbs is plenty capable of working on the inside. You've got Pop Douglas still. You've got a burner in Kyle Williams. Don't forget Mac Hollins. And so this went from, at this point last year, like a significant weakness. in their football team to now you have so many, and for Josh McDaniels, who's a mad scientist with just creating matchups off roles, you have so many different guys that can fill and kind of thrive in so many different roles with their physical kind of abilities. It's a big deal.
Mina, this makes me think about Thursday. I mean, 3 days away from the draft. How do you see the Browns situation impacting Philly's decisions on draft night?
I think they're going to have to take a receiver. The question is when. Philadelphia does love to address the trenches, and they might do that in the first round. But I got to say, I would consider Denzel Boston the Washington wide receiver if I were them. Not just because, yes, he has a skill set that does have some similarities to A.J. Brown's game in terms of the size, the frame, the contested catch ability, but I also think Jalen Hurts, because of his proclivities as a quarterback, needs that type of receiver. Even though I think Devontae Smith can take on more volume and he's so talented, you do want a guy who can win on the perimeter, win those goal balls downfield. So I would love Boston's fit in this offense if A.J. Brown was gone.
I like it. I think Boston's got kind of lost in some of the receiver conversation, and he shouldn't be. The Eagles, by the way, they have 8 picks overall in this year's draft, 6 in the first 4 rounds. So a lot. I know. Howie. Okay, back to the blockbuster trade of the weekend that changed the trajectory of the draft. Dexter Lawrence is a Bengal now, and the Giants have the 5th and 10th pick in the first round on Thursday. The Bengals, as you see here, the footage, look at the big fella, introducing their new D tackle earlier today. Here's what he had to say.
The saying kept coming to me, you got to be uncomfortable to get comfortable. And, like when this opportunity came, I jumped at it because I knew I was going to be uncomfortable. I got to learn a lot of new names, move to a new city and, bring my family and my dogs and find that place. So I knew it was going to be a little uncomfortable. That's the process, though. And I think I adjust well and I handle those things well. So I was just excited to be here, especially with my dog BJ, to play with him, get another opportunity to play with him and, take this thing to another level.
You don't have to take detailed notes on Dexter Lawrence. Those are guys you've known since he came into the draft, that you don't have to remind yourself the presence he has on the field and the way you have to game plan around him and the production he creates for those around him.
All right, we're going to talk about the Giants side in a little bit, but let's talk the Bengals side of this first, Adam. Why did they feel like this was the right deal for them?
Well, Laura, I think there are a couple of things to keep in mind here. Number one, I think that they have to make an effort for this team to win as soon as possible to prevent any speculation in the future about Joe Burrow's future in Cincinnati. If this team continues to struggle, there will continue to be questions about whether or not Joe Burrow would want to be there in the long term. And so the Bengals felt like to go out and get a player like Dexter Lawrence, who has been double-teamed consistently, who's been a top defensive tackle in the league despite his down year last year. They felt like they were getting a player that would be better than any player they could get in the draft at number 10. And as they assessed the board, they felt like this was a no-brainer. And even if the defensive players fall off the board, it just reinforces the notion. So the